Hey y'all, and welcome back. I'm so excited you're here today. So in today's video, I am bringing you not one, not two, but 6 super easy, fun, budget-friendly DIYs using scrap wood I literally found on my garage floor. Yes, and James is gonna be so proud because I'm cleaning up the garage and I'm crafting too. You can't beat that. So went out there, found 6 pieces of scrap wood, brought them in, looked at what I had in my craft room, and just went from there. And I love each and every one of these little DIYs. James even has 2 favorites out of the ones that I've made. So these are crafts that I dare say you would probably find at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or somewhere like that, and you would probably pay anywhere from $7 to $12. They're super cute, they're not cheesy at all, and if you didn't tell anyone, I bet you they wouldn't know it was scrap wood you found on your garage floor. So with all that being said, if that sounds like something you're interested in, then just keep on watching. Okay, so I have these scrap pieces of wood that I found in my garage, and you can see some of them have these holes in them, and I'm just going to take my wood filler and I'm just going to fill in these holes, and they don't have to be perfect, and then I'll just sand them down once it dries, and then we will start our DIYs. So for this first DIY, we're going to be making firecrackers. So I took this first one and I'm going to paint it blue. And I'm sure you're going to catch on to the theme here. I'm going to paint one blue, I'm going to paint one red and one white. And this will be our firecrackers. But I'm going to do a little something extra to the blue one. And I think it's going to turn out really cute. But first I'm going to go ahead and get my base coats on them so they can be drying, because I am going to distress the red and the white one just a little bit, not much, for that more of a rustic look, I guess you could say. So I'm going to get these red, and all these colors will be listed down in the description box below. I basically use the same colors on all of these DIYs. So now what you're going to see is I had cut out some stars on my Silhouette Cameo for a different project, and I didn't end up using them. So I decided I would put them on the blue one. And I'm just taking them and I'm just kind of putting them at random places in no specific, that's a hard word, no specific order. And I'm just going to kind of put them on there, hit and miss, you know, just kind of where I see they would be cute. I don't even mind that some of them are overlapping on the sides and kind of folding down. I kind of like that look, so I'm good with that. So I'm just going to take these, there's 50 of them, so this little firecracker is going to have 50 stars. So I'm going to do this to the front and the back. The front and the back is going to have the most, and then I will take the leftover stars and just kind of place them randomly on the sides here and there. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. So now you can see I'm just taking one here and there and just putting it on the sides, just in a random order, no particular place, just as I see fit. I'm really loving the way this looks. This is so cute. And I mean, who would know this is scraps? Just scrap wood laying around. So after I get all of my stars on there, some of them were not wanting to stick the best to all of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm just going to kind of go over them and just kind of seal them in so they won't flake off. And that's what I'm going to do with that. Now for the red and the white one, I'm just going to take my sandpaper. I think I end up getting a fingernail file too because the sandpaper was just too fine. And I'm just going to kind of rough up the edges just a little bit, not a whole lot. You can do as little or as much as you want. And I should have wiped my hands off before I touched the white one, but anyway, there we go. I'm going to get that roughed up. And then I took some jute twine and I cut them and I tied some knots to the end of them, and that's going to kind of be our base so I have something to glue it to. And this is going to be our wick to our firecrackers. I love it. And then I'm going to put them in order or put them in some kind of fashion that I want. And I'm going to hot glue them together. But when I glue them, I'm going to set them down and make sure they're all level. and not one's higher than the other because I want to be able to stand them up. Then I'm going to take some jute twine, tie it around. And y'all, this is so cute. Would you have really thought that was just scrap wood laying around? I'm telling you, it's amazing. I love it. So for DIY number 2, so these are some little triangles that my husband cut out. I had left over last year, and this was just scrap wood in the garage. So I'm gonna paint one of them blue, and then I've painted 3 of them white, a base coat of white, and now I'm taking some vinyl, old vinyl that I had that was just too wrinkled up to use, and I cut out my strips, and now I'm just gonna kind of line them up and put them on there. And I like that this kind of sticks to it too. And then I'm gonna take my Mod Podge and I'm gonna go over my stripes just to kind of seal it in so I won't have any bleed through, because we are going to be painting our red stripes on these to represent the red and white stripes on our flag. So I'm just going to kind of go over that with the Mod Podge. Red is such a hard color if it bleeds. So now I'm just going to paint. Once it dry, I let the Mod Podge dry. Now I'm going to go over it with the red. And I think, I'm pretty sure I ended up having to do 2 coats of red because I wanted them to be really bold stripes. And this is going to end up being a little banner that I'm actually making for my daughter for her fireplace. We just redid her fireplace and she has a cute little mantle now. And so I made me one last year. I didn't film it, so I decided I would film this one this year because I'm making this one for her. And I think these are just so cute. For scrap wood, and they don't necessarily even have to be triangles. They could be any kind of shape, whatever you prefer. This is just what I had, and I wanted to use them up, so I'm just doing that. So once I get all of my red on there, everything dries, I pull off the vinyl, and now I have these little white stars that I bought in a pack from Hobby Lobby, I think, last year. And now I'm just going to kind of flip them over. And we're going to get our jute twine. And what I did was I pulled out quite a bit. I'm not sure exactly how long she would need it to be. And so I'm just going to cut it off, and then I'm going to fold it in half. I need some new scissors. I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, put the half in the middle, and then I'll just kind of lay it down, and I'm going to use my hot glue to attach my jute twine to my little triangles. And this part, I mean, you could measure it out and be all specific, but I just kind of eyeballed it. Putting my hot glue down, and then I'll just put my twine over that. And then just space them out a little bit. You could have them touching if you wanted to. You can space them out further than I did, whatever you prefer. This is just an idea. But isn't that cute? I just love it. I think it's so cute. So for DIY number 3, so this was another little cutout from my cameo. I cut it out, ended up not using it, and I decided I would just put it on this block of wood. I did it at an angle, so it's not any specific order. And then I just took my little stencil brush, and I'm not even being really particular with it. I'm just gonna kind of go over it. I didn't even clean my brush. I just wiped off the excess, and I'm just gonna kind of let this dry. And believe it or not, I think this turned out to be James's favorite, one of his favorites of my little DIYs. And I just love the way it turned out. It's so quick and simple. And then once the paint dried a little bit, it was still a little wet. I was just real careful, pulled off my stencil. I had to actually cut this out for a different thing I had in mind and ended up not using it. And I was like, well, let me just try this and see. It's just scrap wood, you know. If it works, great. And if it don't, that's okay too. Lesson learned. So now I'm just taking off the little stars. And again, who would know this was just a piece of scrap wood laying in the floor of my garage? I don't think anyone would. I love it. So now I'm just going to touch up that edge where I didn't have paint on it. Of course, before I started this, I did paint everything white as a base, and that's it. So cute and easy. So DIY number 4. So I have another block, and I have some more of those stripes that I cut out from that old vinyl that I was not going to be able to use. The vinyl was real wrinkled and just really in rough shape. So I'm just I'm just laying down a design. I kind of seen something similar to this on Pinterest, and I'm just making up some things. I have my little tier tray I'm going to decorate, so I'm just trying to make up some things for it, just using the scrap wood. So once I did that, I'm going to take my same blue. I'm going to go over the top. I'm going to go do the blue all the way around the sides and the back of this blue. I'm about out of blue paint, as you can tell. I've done so many. So once I get that on there, then I'm going to take my red. Okay, let me tell y'all see where I didn't do the red down the middle? Do as I say and not as I do. I should have done the red stripe down the middle, because I'm going to end up having to go and retape and paint another red stripe. So don't do like me. Just go ahead and paint down the middle with your red stripe. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. But this one turned out really cute. I don't even know what you would call it other than just a piece of patriotic decor. I have another little one of those stars that I'm going to go ahead and paint. And now you're going to see where, I should have painted that red stripe down the middle. Why didn't I do it? But that's okay. Live and learn. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to retape it. And here I am retaping it. I got my apron on because I had just been cooking dinner. So I'm just kind of retaping it. I'm going to do the other red stripe. But we're still not finished with this one once we do that. But I am just amazed at what you can do with scrap. So I didn't show you, but I tied some jute twine around it and glued the star on. So for DIY number 5, I have some scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. And this is one of the crosses James cut me out last year. And I was just going to kind of play with this. Now, I think this scrapbook paper is actually with some of their Christmas paper, but I like the red and white stripe. So I'm just going to Mod Podge that over my cross. And it doesn't have to fit perfectly because I want this to be really rustic looking. So at the time I'm doing this, y'all, I really don't have a clue how this is going to turn out. But I just kind of put that over there. And I go back over that with the Mod Podge, a light coat of it, just to kind of seal it in. And now I have some stars, this navy with the the navy with the white stars. And I'm just going to kind of put it on there in a random pattern, and I'm going to overlay it. I'm just going to kind of patch it all up. And some of it's going to hang over, and I know once it dries, I'll just go in there and cut off the excess. But y'all, when I was doing this, I must tell you, I was thinking, what am I doing? This is just the biggest mess. But wait till you see the end and how it turned out. Again, this is just scrap wood we had laying around that he just decided he would cut some of these out. I did some of these for my Easter decor, and now I'm going to do some for my summer. So now the Mod Podge is dried, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to cut off the excess where it's hanging over. And I took my fingernail file and I'm just going to file it down and get any of the excess paper that was hanging over. Going to rough it up. I love this technique. It just makes such a clean line. And it's not perfect on there. Now I'm going to kind of go over it and rough it up. And then I'm going to take my antique wax and I'm just going to kind of go over it. This is a wet wipe. And I'm just going to put a little bit on this wet wipe and just wipe it all over this cross. And I love the age finish that it gives it. How cute is that? DIY number 6. Another little block, some more of that scrapbook paper. I just cut it out and I'm just going to kind of do it on one corner like it's just a piece of the flag on that one corner. And then I cut out on my Cameo 1776. I'm putting that on there. And then I'm going to take some more of that antique wax. And there you go. That's as simple as it is. Can't get any easier than that, can you? I love it. What do you think? I love them. I think they're so cute. And I'm telling you, no one would know they were scrap wood. I just love them. And James's favorite was the one with the flag on the square piece of wood and the cross. Those were his two favorite. He really loved those. I love them all. I can't wait to use them all. I made them with my tier tray in mind. I made them with my mantle in mind. And, you know, I have other places that I decorate. And so I cannot wait to get these incorporated into my decor. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button, hit that little red subscribe button, become part of our little family over here. And don't forget to go follow me on Instagram if you have an Instagram account. With all that being said, I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and until next time, bye y'all.